Chapter 41 Next Target. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The huge ruins looked extremely messy. The majestic S-level rebel ninja Kakuzu was lying inside like a salted fish. If Danzo were to see it, the bounty hunter he regarded as his trump card would turn into a lapdog in front of Chinyu. I'm afraid it's hard to accept. Don't worry, you will know in the future that this decision is correct. Chinyu patted Kakuzu on the shoulder. Now that you have lost 4 hearts, I happen to have a very good goal. If you can get it, your strength will definitely increase to a new level. But if you haven't seen it with your own eyes, Chinyu's powerful methods, Kakuzu might not believe this, but after enduring the torture of 2 balls, Kakuzu now desperately wants to become stronger. From then on, he stood up in front of Chinyu. What power are you talking about? Kakuzu grabbed Chinyu's arm, feeling the strength coming from his 5 fingers. Chinyu couldn't help but smile. This world is most afraid of people without ambition. If you say, how can a person become stronger, that will only magnify their ambitions infinitely. For example, Uchiha Obito turned from the tail end of the crane to the big boss behind the scenes. This is the best explanation. You should have heard that the Third Ninja World War was triggered by the disappearance of the third Kazekage in Sand Ninja Village, right? Chinyu looked at Kakuzu. He acts in the dark all year round. Things that people outside may not know. As a bounty hunter, he would have more channels for intelligence. In the world of Kakuzu, there's nothing money can't solve. I know, this incident has caused quite a stir in the city, but I don't know who did it. Kakuzu shook his head. That third Kazekage has a bounty of 10 million taels on the black market. Is he really not from Konoha? No. Chinyu shook his head. I asked you to find someone. After you find him, you try to seize the heart of the third wind shadow from his hands. With iron sand, your strength will reach a new level. Kakuzu's G. You can obtain this change in chakra attributes by robbing other people's hearts. Iron sand is the same as Kumo Ninja's dark thunder. They are all special mutated attributes, which are different from the blood inheritance limit. Others may not be able to obtain this power, but Kakuzu is an exception. There was just one thing that Chinyu couldn't understand. Why in the original work, it was clear that ninjutsu could become very powerful. A good hand is often played badly. Could this be the legendary plot kill? Feeling the change in Chinyu's gaze, Kakuzu smiled helplessly and sat upright with difficulty. Old boss. I know you will definitely think that if you have such a powerful secret skill as Earth Resentment why would you go to some special people to seize your body? It's not that I don't want to. It's just that I can't do it alone. Chinyu actually knew about Kakuzu's helplessness. His fame is nothing more than being sent out by Taki Ninja Village to assassinate the first Hokage. After standing in the distance and releasing a shuriken, he was frightened by the eyes and ran away with his tail between his legs. The Taki Ninja Village was afraid that the Dongchuang incident would happen, so after Kakuzu returned, they directly slapped him with an unfounded crime. Kakuzu was so angry that he directly seized the secret technique of resentment. Originally, the overall strength of Taki Ninja Village was no longer good. In the later period of the original work, a Jounin was able to defeat a village. Facing a monster like Kakuzu, he is a perfect target. Do you know the whereabouts of the third Kazekage? Kakuzu couldn't hold his breath anymore. Moonlight Blast and Yu Shien in the distance were startled at first, and were about to step forward. Chinyu's Manjiki Sharingan suddenly turned and hypnotized the 2 of them instantly. It's not that Chinyu doesn't believe in Maui Shien, but he didn't want to implicate her and was monitored by Danzo and Anbu. If a confession is forced, that is even more undesirable. Seeing Chinyu hypnotize Maui Shien and Moonlight Blast with a casual glare, he was surprised and finally realized something was wrong. Boss, your Sharingan is the same as Uchiha Madara, right? That day, there were only 2 people in the ninja world who could make Kakuzu flee with just a glare. The first is the first Hokage, the second is Uchiha Madara. As a person who survived the first ninja war, Kakuzu was no stranger to Uchiha Madara's existence. Absolutely. Chinyu didn't hide it. Since you want a person to work for you wholeheartedly, if you can't even shock him, how can you sacrifice your life for yourself? Let's get down to business first. Chinyu brought the topic back and said, you have many connections in the black market. Let me check on a person named Red Sand Scorpion. If you find him and ask him to give you the heart of the third Kazekage, he will need a lot of materials to make a human puppet, and he must keep the person alive before he can transform it. The biggest special thing about human puppets is that they can possess the ninjutsu of their own lifetime, although the puppet core is also needed. For Chinyu, it is good for Jiaodu to be able to obtain iron sand, however, it would also be great if we could recruit the red sand scorpion. Moreover, if Orochimaru is not found, he can still be reproductively cultivated, which would be the best of both worlds. Are you talking about that brat? Kakuzu's expression froze. Chinyu raised his eyebrows. Do you know him? Of course I know him. Kakuzu nodded. This kid likes to make puppets. Sometimes he will buy some corpses from me that are not dead yet. He will also place bounties on me and ask me to catch some living people. I didn't expect that he would be so crazy that he would attack the third Kazekage. Let's start. That's the leader of his village. Chinyu was helpless for a moment. Unexpectedly, one of the people he wanted to recruit was full of copper odor. One is heterosexual. It seems that the Akatsuki organization is full of weirdos. However, how could they end up on the same road if they were not traveling in the same way? Since you know where he is, you should go first. There are a few root ninjas over there who have just arrived. You should be able to deal with them, right? Chinyu glanced at the woods not far away. The expressions of the 3 root ninjas who had just arrived and were hiding inside for surveillance changed drastically. There was no time to think too much, and he quickly planned to retreat. The purpose of their visit this time was to monitor the battle between Kakuzu and Chinyu, and then report back to Danzo. However, they never expected it. I thought it would be a protracted battle, but I never expected it, after hearing the explosion and arriving. Later, the battle was over. Boss, don't worry. They can't get out of my hands. If they go find that guy, I'd better change my heart first. Kakuzu smiled ferociously. In the dense forest, dark blood vessels shot out instantly. Like a big net, it covered the 3 root ninjas overwhelmingly. Chapter 42. Back Alive. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Point 3 screams suddenly sounded. It came to an abrupt end soon. With the help of the Manjikyu Sharingan, Chinyu saw a large blood vessel shooting out of the ground without warning, directly piercing the bodies of the 3 root ninjas. With the devouring of blood, Kakuzu, who was originally weak, gradually regained his breath. The 3 hearts were forcefully dug out and lodged directly in Kakuzu. Feeling his slightly recovered strength, Kakuzu secretly breathed a sigh of relief and finally stood up. Boss, I'm leaving first. Do you need me to deal with Danzo? A hint of murderous intent flashed across Kakuzu's face. Danzo's intelligence error this time almost cost him his life. If it weren't for Chinyu, he would have finally wanted to recruit. I'm afraid he is now a cold corpse. No need, you don't have to worry about this matter, I'll handle it myself. Chinyu patted Kakuzu on the shoulder. Let's go. Kakuzu couldn't help being startled and said, Boss, don't you need to do something to me? If I run away like this, you will lose more than you gain. In Kakuzu's eyes, there are many undercover spies from various countries. For the sake of safety and confidentiality, each of them will use some illusions, secret techniques, forbidden techniques, etc. to control remotely. Originally, the hardest thing for Kakuzu to accept was to endure the pain of being manipulated. No need, using small tricks on you will feel disadvantageous. Chinyu said with a smile. Moreover, I believe in my charisma and domineering power, the entire ninja world will tremble. These words seemed to be a joke, however, when it fell in Kakuzu's ear, his expression couldn't help but change. After witnessing Chinyu's powerful methods with his own eyes, like Uchiha Madara, there are also blood moon eyes that symbolize disaster. He knew that this young man might not be aiming for nothing. Kakuzu took a deep breath, cleared his thoughts, and said, Boss, I'm leaving first. If there is any news, I will contact you as soon as possible. After watching Kakuzu leave, Chinyu walked to Yu Shien and Moonlight Hayate. Untie, with a flip of the magic seal in his hand, Yueguang Chifeng and Yu Shien woke up from their drowsiness. Chinyu, why did I fall asleep? I seem to have had a dream just now. There were S-level traitorous ninjas coming to assassinate us. Yu Shien rubbed her hazy eyes. When he saw the ruins in front of him, he was completely stunned. I'm afraid this is not a dream. Let's go, it's almost time. If we continue to stay here, I'm afraid Konoha will send people to find us. Chinyu rubbed Woyuki Shien's head. When he used the Manjikyu Sharingan just now, Chinyu didn't do anything. Maui Shien came back to her senses a little and glared. Chinyu, can't you always treat me like a little girl and rub my head? Compared with Chinyu, Maui Shien is similar in age. However, in terms of height, Chinyu is already 1.7 meters tall, which is obviously a head taller than Maui Shien, who is over 1.5 meters tall. Not only can you see the top of your head, but you can also comfortably touch your head to kill, in front of Konoha's sealed gate. Due to the emergence of Uchiha Chinyu, he defeated the Cloud Ninja and Mist Ninja with a strong posture. This caused Konoha's top management to attach great importance to it. No. It should be said that even the younger generation within the Uchiha clan was shocked. I thought that with the emergence of Uchiha Shisui, he would be able to surpass the entire era. Not long ago, even the brat of the Uchiha clan leader showed his talents and was hailed as a little genius when he first entered the ninjutsu school. Now suddenly a genius appears who has been bullied for more than 10 years and has been dormant. This gap is a little hard to accept. It is for this reason that the Uchiha clan also sent out guards to wait here. Facing them face to face were Namikaze Minato and the rare Danzo. A few minutes ago, after Namikaze Minato finished dealing with trivial matters, he returned to Konoha and unexpectedly found Danzo, who had always been invisible to Shenlong, appearing in front of the city gate. When he was surprised, his heart was also hanging, thinking of what happened in the stronghold. When Danzo appeared here, it was obviously a weasel paying New Year's greetings to the chicken. No, it's already past the agreed time, I'll go take a look. Namikaze Minato glanced at it, and the Chunin stationed at the gate couldn't help but take action. Huh, Minato, you just came back, where are you going now? Danzo was obviously staring at Minato all the time. At the moment when the Flying Thunder magic seal was formed, he quickly stepped forward to interrupt. Danzo-sama, the 3 Chunin I led exceeded the agreed time. I was worried that something might happen, so I wanted to take a look. Namikaze Minato said in a deep voice. There was a hint of coldness in his words. Minato Namikaze was also dissatisfied with Danzo's repeated attacks on Chinyu. However, at the moment, Namikaze Minato has no reason for the lateness of Chinyu and others, and it is difficult to directly refute it. Huh, Minato, you are indeed the favorite to be the next Hokage. You even do things safely. Danzo was still smiling, but in his heart, he was silently calculating the time it would take Kikudu to deal with Chinyu. Looking at Minato with an impatient face, Danzo smiled even more. In his eyes, the longer the delay, the greater the chance that Minato would be waiting to collect the body. 15 minutes have passed now, with the strength of the S-level rebel ninja and the help of the Fuma ninja. It is not too difficult to deal with a mere Chunin. Even if this Chunin has a secret, he is no exception. Danzo-sama, are you specifically trying to stop me from saving people? Namikaze Minato's expression darkened slightly. Originally the team was led by him. If anything happens to Chinyu and others, he will be blamed. Minato, your words have given me chills. Danzo said this, but his smile became even brighter. You know, everything I do is for Konoha. What's more, I don't know what you are talking about. I just saw that this place is very busy, so I came here to join in the fun and see who you are waiting for here. At this Danzo smiled and shook his head. However, judging from your expression, the chance of not waiting is probably slim. Then I'll go back first. I hope the little friend you see can arrive safely. 15 minutes have passed. The monitors he sent did not send a notification signal. From Danzo's point of view, Chinyu and others will undoubtedly die. It is for this reason that there is not much use in staying here. Minato, why are you here? Chinyu's voice suddenly sounded. The steps Danzo took and the smile on his face immediately stiffened. Chapter 43 Tit for Tat. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chinyu, nothing happened on your way. How come you were delayed for 15 minutes? Namikaze Minato said with a happy face. However, when he looked at Danzo, there was more of a hint of provocation. A moment ago, he kept saying it was impossible, and now Chinyu suddenly appeared. This slap was a slap in the face. Nothing happened, we were just tired and took a rest. Chinyu smiled and patted Namikaze Minato on the shoulder. Is there something wrong? If not, I will go back and rest first. This scene immediately made the guard standing not far away become restless. Have you seen that useless Uchiha Chinyu is actually the same as Namikaze Minato? Their relationship seems to be going well. Konoha is so quick to win over people, no wonder it can become the popular candidate for the next Hokage. The leader of the guard team, he was obviously a man in his early 20s with a thin build and hostile eyes. Chinyu remembered that this one seemed to be called Uchiha Stone, has double Magatama Sharingan. Before the rise of Uchiha Shisui, he was known as the rising star of the Uchiha clan and a hope. It's a pity that at the moment when Uchiha Shisui became famous overnight, the Uchiha Stone was instantly turned into dregs. Now that another Uchiha Chinyu appears, he may feel dissatisfied. However, Chinyu didn't take all this seriously. In this world where strength is respected, there is nothing that cannot be solved with fists. If that doesn't work, take another punch. You are Uchiha Chinyu. You are indeed a young hero. You have been able to successfully reach Konoha village despite such dangers along the way. It seems that the legend is true. Danzo turned around and said with a smile. However, the half-smiling expression, all over his body, gave people an inexplicable sense of depression. According to Chinyu, riding on a horse means hiding a knife behind a smile. Thank you for your concern. Except for a few flies along the way, there seems to be no trouble. Chinyu smiled warmly. In other words, I am too lucky, and I am still working under Danzo-sama. Maybe some of my subordinates are too unlucky to get lost and cannot come back. Having said this, Chinyu met Danzo's gaze without any concessions, and his smile became even brighter. Lord Danzo, do you think a watchdog that bites people should be killed? Don't let me see those two beasts, otherwise I will not show mercy to anyone. After the words fell, Chinyu's pair of kaleidoscope Sharingan eyes suddenly started to rotate. Immediately afterwards, the huge pupil power detonated like a frenzy, turning into a wave of air and sweeping away. However, this breath comes and goes quickly, it quickly disappeared. Such a powerful eye power. Danzo's expression froze, but when he looked at Chinyu, there was a hint of greed deep in his pupils. Danzo has a love-hate relationship with the Uchiha clan. What he hates is the Uchiha clan, but what he loves is their Sharingan. Moreover, it was learned from the intelligence that Chinyu's eyes were obviously different from the Sharingan eyes of ordinary tribesmen. Now after seeing it with his own eyes, Danzo is even more certain that these eyes are definitely similar to the kaleidoscope. Recorded by the second Hokage, the most important thing is the power of the pupil power that just burst out. If it is not measured by the Mangekyo Sharingan, it is absolutely inexplicable. Uchiha Chinyu, you are really different. You can even awaken the legendary eyes. Maybe you will surpass Uchiha Shisui and become a peerless genius in the clan. Danzo pointed out directly. Uchiha Ishii and other members of the security team couldn't help but change their expressions. They are both members of the Uchiha clan, and they are very happy when a strong person appears in the clan. But who doesn't think that he is the strong one? Now the former crane tail has become the peerless genius Danzo calls him. He also awakened the legendary Sharingan. This kind of treatment is enough to twist people's hearts. Huh, Lord Danzo, you are really good at joking. Maybe compared with you, I am not good enough for you. Chinyu laughed dryly. If you are fine, I will go and report on my duties. That's right, I almost forgot about this. Namikaze Minato quickly took over. The third Hokage, you and the two Konoha advisors have been waiting for a long time. Let's go and report first. Shien, hey 8, you go back and rest first. You are also tired during this period, so don't wander around. When Yueguang Jifeng heard this, he felt relieved. After taking a look at Chinyu, he quickly thanked him, turned around and left. Mao Yuxian felt a little reluctant to give up, but feeling the atmosphere in the venue, she also knew that it was not the right time to stay. After giving Chinyu a worried look, he turned and left. For a moment, the huge city gate had an inexplicable and depressing smell. Minato, let's go. Chinyu patted Namikaze Minato on the shoulder. Don't keep the third generation waiting. If you like it, Danzo-sama, then continue to stay here. Maybe you will be able to wait until you wish. After leaving these words, Chinyu took the lead and walked towards the Hokage building. Namake's Minato smiled helplessly, however, he also disagreed with Danzo's approach. Now that Danzo was able to suffer a loss, it was too late for Minato Namake's to be happy. He would not even protect Danzo's weak mind. Watching Chinyu and Namake's Minato leave, Uchiha Stone left with the security team with a gloomy expression. Danzo-sama, are you still waiting? It's already time for me to change my shift. The Chunin guarding the seal gate asked weakly. Get out of here, are you qualified to ask Danzo-sama? Shanfeng flashed out of the darkness. Aburame Takejen was also following behind her, and the two of them looked obviously unhappy. Danzo said nothing. He was still worried about what Chinyu said just now, although he said it a little vaguely. When he thought of the Sharingan he had worked so hard to collect on his arm, there was also a secret deal with Orochimaru, but there was a feeling of being seen through in my heart. As the founder of Roots, Danzo is also a high-ranking official in Konoha, whether it was his mind or his strategy. Even the city government asked himself that not even the third Hokage could compete with him. However, this time, not only did the assassination fail, but even a kid couldn't see through it. For the first time, Danzo understood what it felt like to be unable to figure things out. Danzo-sama, didn't you ask the S-level rebellious ninja from Taki Ninja Village to intercept and kill Uchiha Chinyu? Why is he okay? Shanfeng couldn't hold back his anger. When he thought of Long Ye's death in the mountains, he wanted to tear Chinyushing apart. Feng, don't be nervous. Could it be that the boy changed his walking route and lost all his strength? Aburame Taurine said in a deep voice. Otherwise, with this kid's character, if Kakuzu really misses, he will definitely attack now. In response to these words, Danzo also nodded silently. Go find someone, contact Kakuzu, and check the inn at the same time. I want the results within 30 minutes. Don't worry, Danzo-sama, I'm going now. Shanfeng couldn't hold his breath anymore. Putting aside these words, he turned around and rushed out of the sealed gate. He was now eager to verify Aburame's words. However, another thought flashed through my mind from time to time. Chapter 44. Let me show you the Sharingan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the Hokage's office, the third Hokage, Koharu and Mitomonabu were in bed, closing their eyes and concentrating without saying a word, which gave the huge office an inexplicable sense of depression. Sarutobi, do you think he will come? Mito Kadoyan suddenly said. After turning to bed, Koharu also looked at the third Hokage. As soon as these words fell, the venue fell into a brief silence, and the third Hokage said, I believe in Minato, and I believe that he will definitely come. If you can't survive even these dangers, how can you possibly defeat the Cloud Ninja and the Mist Ninja? Even AI in the AB combination admits his strength. When they went to bed, Koharu and Mito Kadoyan looked stagnant. This answer was obviously not what they expected. Sarutobi, are you thinking of things too simply? Mito Kadoyan said. Soon an ANBU ninja appeared in the office like a ghost. Find the bounty hunter information handed over to Danzo. In addition to the Fuma clan, there is also Kakuzu who sneaked into the first Hokage in the past and attacked and killed the senior officials of Taki Ninja Village. Umbu Ninja took out a scroll. Is it him? Mito Kadoyan and Koharu's expressions changed. However, a trace of joy flashed in his pupils. There was a slight change in expression on the third Hokage's slightly aged cheeks. Inform Minato Namake's and have him come to see me immediately. Regarding Namake's Minato and Chinyu's importance, the third Hokage felt a little calm at first. However, after learning that Danzo actually found this kind of monster to intercept and kill him, he couldn't hold back his anger at all. Sarutobi, you are working too hard. If that kid dies, he will die. We don't have to worry too much. Don't forget, this is wartime and it is also a critical moment. Koharu suddenly spoke after he went to bed. Mito Kadoyan nodded in agreement. Koharu is right, it will be a good thing for Konoha to have one less thing to worry about. Seeing that Konoha's two major advisors gave such an answer, the third Hokage's expression froze, but he chose to quickly open the door and prepare to go in person. Lord Hokage, I brought Chinyu. As soon as the third Hokage opened the door, he saw Namake's Minato and a slightly unfamiliar face. Is it him? Mito Kadoyan and Koharu's expressions couldn't help but change, and they couldn't help but stand up, looking at Chinyu standing side by side with Minato. Namake's at the office door. He looked a little dazed. In their eyes, Chinyu is too young. At only 14 or 15 years old, he has the strength to defeat the Kyumo ninja and Mist ninja alone. This is something even they can't compare to. If he grows up, his future strength is even more unimaginable. Are you Uchiha Chinyu? The third Hokage secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Come in and take a rest first. You are different from what I expected. Seeing the third Hokage give way to the door, Chinyu walked in without any restraint. Namake's Minato was startled, touched the tip of his nose helplessly, and followed closely. Humph, you rude brat. Xiaochun snorted coldly when he went to bed. However, as soon as the words came out of his mouth, he met Chinyu's gaze. The moment the four eyes met, scarlet blood quickly spread in Chinyu's pupils. The moment the 9 Magatama Sharingan suddenly turned, it exuded an inexplicable smell of disaster. Ah! When she went to bed, Xiaochun's expression changed drastically. Boy, how dare you! Mito Menyen swayed and appeared beside Chinyu. His right hand turned into an eagle claw and he directly grabbed Chinyu. Sealing technique water chain binding. A mysterious curse seal formation spread rapidly with Mito Menyen's right foot as the center. At the same time, four chains made of water condensed out of thin air and quickly wrapped around Chinyu's body. However, as soon as this attack came out, Mito Kadoyan felt that the world was changing, just like the stars were shifting. Illusion solution. The third Hokage shouted urgently. Mito Kadoyan woke up suddenly. While gasping for air, he found that the water chain restraint he had just used had actually entangled his limbs. Xiaochun, who was sleeping next to him, was sweating profusely. Chinyu, what are you doing? Mito Monoyen shouted angrily. Come here, catch him immediately. Angry roars echoed in the office. However, not a single ANBU ninja appeared around him. Don't get excited. I know you guys want to know what kind of ice skills I have. I just demonstrated it a little bit. Chinyu smiled warmly. Illusion hypnosis. As long as you have brief eye contact with me, you will be hypnotized instantly. Of course, if a ninja is strong, determined, and experienced in combat, such a simple hypnotic eye will not be able to have an effect on him. Untie. Chinyu's 9 Magatama Sharingan faded away, and the illusion was instantly lifted. The umbu hiding in the surroundings landed in the office one after another, 8 in total. Moreover, the aura exuding from each one of them is that of a veteran who has experienced many battles. Boy, are you laughing at us for being hypnotized? Mito Menyen's face darkened and he shouted angrily, come here, catch him quickly. The 8 umbu present were startled. After looking at each other, they looked at the third Hokage. They are ANBU directly under the Hokage, and they only take orders from the Hokage. Koharu and Mito Kaden are high-ranking officials and advisors of Konoha, but it is absolutely impossible to get them to act. Back off. The third Hokage waved his hand. The 8 ANBU ninjas disappeared without any hesitation. When they went to bed, Koharu and Mito Kadoyan's expressions changed. Sarutobi, what do you mean? He attacked the top management of Konoha and even made trouble in the Hokage's office. This should be punished. Koharu shouted urgently as he went to bed. Mito Kadoyan didn't say anything, but when he thought about being hit by an illusion just now, he was restrained by the water whip he cast. This made him feel embarrassed. Okay, Chinyu just demonstrated a little. I will handle this matter, you don't need to say anything. The third Hokage said without any doubt. Besides, I am the Hokage. If you are not hurt, just shut up. Koharu and Mito Kaden's expressions couldn't help but change when they went to bed. For Hiruzen Sarutobi, who had always been a conservative, they knew that they would only show such toughness when they decided the fate of Konoha. After looking at Chinyu, Mito Kadoyan snorted coldly and said, since the Hokage does not need our presence, as Konoha consultants, Koharu and I will leave first. I hope the third Hokage will not do anything that will endanger the foundation of Konoha, otherwise we don't mind going to the daimyo. Chapter 45 The Third Hokage's Decision. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Putting aside these threatening words, Kaden and Kohara turned around and walked out of the Hokage's office. When he left, his murderous gaze made him want to devour Chinyu alive. Okay, Minato, please close the door. The third Hokage did not take their words to heart. As the Hokage of Konoha, the third generation still has a high reputation. If Mito Kabuto and Kohara were casually frightened, how could they do anything important? Lord Hokage, if you end like this, it seems that the two advisors will run to Danzo's camp. Chinyu was the first to speak. As soon as Minato Namikaze closed the door, he felt a headache. He had already expected that Chinyu's unruly character would definitely cause things to get out of hand. Unexpectedly, as soon as they arrived at the Hokage's office, they would directly start a fight with Koharu and Mito Katabu, who had moved to another dormitory. Even more, Namikaze Minato didn't expect that the hypnotic effect of the Mangekyo Sharingan would be so powerful. Even Konoha's two top advisors were caught off guard and fell directly into the trap. Uchiha Chinyu, you really hide it well. With your mind and courage, I really don't know how to describe you. The third Hokage smiled and shook his head. You obviously have such great strength, but you have hidden your edge for more than 10 years. I can say that you have a mind like a monster. Regarding this evaluation, Chinyu also smiled and said nothing. After all, I can't tell the third Hokage that I am a time-traveling army who just happened to seize the body of this short-lived ghost, and then used a cheat to become stronger instantly. Moreover, now that the third generation of Hokage has personally brainstormed to help him find excuses, why wouldn't Chinyu do it? Seeing Chinyu smiling and saying nothing, the third Hokage frowned and changed his way of speaking. Chinyu, I want to know why you did this and why you suddenly took action after hiding for so long. Is it because you don't want to see the past lost or because you don't want to see other people die? In other words, you have other people you care about and you don't want them to die. Having said this, Namikaze Minato couldn't help but look at Chinyu. Moreover, he secretly nodded to the third Hokage's straightforward question. At least, during this period of contact with Chinyu, Namikaze Minato knew Chinyu's character very well. Chinyu, please remember that any answer will depend on whether you can stay in Konoha Ninja Village. Of course, I hope that you, like Minato, will become a powerful new force in our Konoha Ninja Village. The third generation of Naruto. I couldn't help but add it again. Looking at the solemn expression of the third Hokage, Chinyu smiled warmly. I have no interest in the position of Hokage, and I have no so-called sense of belonging in the fight between your factions. However, I don't like other people sneaking around. If you don't like me, you can come over. In other words, if you are not afraid of death, I don't mind killing one or two. Chinyu's smile became brighter and brighter. After a short pause, he said, I just want to be my salted fish. Salted fish? Namikaze Minato and the third Hokage couldn't help but be startled. They obviously couldn't think of such a fresh and refined adjective. Chinyu, what is salted fish? Namikaze Minato couldn't help but ask. When the third Hokage heard this, even the Anbu in the dark showed a hint of urgency. After all, judging from what Chinyu just said, his attitude will shake the safety of Konoha. Shinyu just has time to bask in the sun, bask in the front, and then bask in the back. Chinyu explained while touching the tip of his nose. For this kind of life, in the eyes of previous lives, this is a symbol of successful people. Imagine being there while someone else is at work, basking in the sun and beach by myself. From time to time, a beautiful girl wearing less cloth would help me turn over and apply sun oil. Isn't life just a salty fish? Namikaze Minato was confused. No. It should be said that even the expressions of the third Hokage and the Anbu hiding in the shadows became stiff. This salty fish life is too much nonsense. Chinyu, is your request really that simple? The third Hokage couldn't hold back his anger. If you are willing, I can promote you to an elite jounin and publish your records so that you have the same power as Minato. Even the Anbu ninjas were surprised by the delicious food thrown by the third Hokage. Namikaze Minato has long been regarded as the successor of the next generation of Hokage, and his identity and status are completely unique. Now the third Hokage puts forward this condition as soon as he opens his mouth. that probably means admitting that Chin Yu has the qualifications to compete for Hokage. No need, being Hokage is a lot of trouble. I don't want to age prematurely, lose my hair and become gray, or die for the village if I'm not careful. I'd better leave this fearless spirit to Minato. Chin Yu didn't care at all. If there's nothing else, I'll go back and rest first. After leaving these words, Chin Yu turned around and left. When Namake's Minato saw this, his expression froze, and he was about to say something to dissuade him, but he saw the third Hokage shaking his head to stop him. As the door of the office closed again, the third Hokage pondered for a moment and said, "Minato, what do you think? Is what Chin Yu just said about salted fish true?" Regarding Chin Yu's salted fish theory, the third Hokage now has a headache when he thinks about it. This is too ridiculous. Hokage-sama, I think Chin Yu is trustworthy. Namake's Minato's expression flickered and he said, "From the beginning, he has clearly understood the situation of the Uchiha clan. Not only did he not have any hatred, he also gave up the secret that he had hidden for more than 10 years when facing hundreds of Yun-Nin and AB combination during the Yun-Nin raid, and even came to rescue him. This proves Chin Yu's heart. Still in Konoha. After defeating the Kyumo ninja, I know that Danzo will definitely be angry with him because of the mountain wind and Aburame's roots. Not only did he not escape, he also defeated the Mist Ninja's sneak attack again. Now he is following me back to Konoha. With the strength he just showed, he sneaked away in the middle. Who can stop him?" Having said this, Namake's Minato looked at the third Hokage. He knew clearly that no matter how much he said, the person who could really make the decision was the third Hokage. "Minato, I know your thoughts very well." The third Hokage pondered for a moment and then said, "The matter of Uchiha Chin Yu will be left to you. I hope you can make him a sharp spear in the hands of Konoha, and shine as brightly as you." The departure of the three ninjas is actually an important trigger for the Third Ninja War. Chapter 46 All Dead. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A low voice echoed in the office. Namake's Minato's expression froze, and he fell into a brief silence. During the Second Ninja War, Sancho Hanzo gave Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Orochimaru the title of Sannin. It can be said that for a time, the Sannin was in the limelight in the huge ninja world. The appearance of three people on any battlefield is enough to dominate a battle situation. If we put these three people on every battlefield now, the three major countries would want to offend the land of fire. Still need to weigh one or two. Unfortunately, Orochimaru's betrayal and Tsunade's post-traumatic stress disorder, and Jiraiya's departure, for Konoha, it was a huge blow. If Chin Yu, a new force, joins now, it will be the best thing to end the current Third Ninja War. Hokage-sama, don't worry. I have a good relationship with Fugaku. With his help, Chin Yu will be nothing more than a salty fish at best. Namake's Minato said the last thing. Remembering what Chin Yu just said, he couldn't help but smile bitterly. The third Hokage also smiled helplessly and shook his head. With your words, I feel at ease. Regarding the Canopy Bridge, the latest news has been returned. I hope you will take the time to visit it as soon as possible. The IWA Ninja has mobilized a large number of elites. The battle between them and the Kyumo Ninja seems to be coming to an end. Outside, Koharu and Mito Katabu walked out of the Hokage building with gloomy expressions. It's Danzo. Mito Menyen raised his eyebrows. Let's go over and take a look. After turning to bed, Xiaochun put aside these words and walked quickly over. Why are you down here? Where did that kid go? Danzo was about to return to the Hokage building. Humph, that kid is too arrogant. He even cast illusions on us in the Hokage's office. But his eyes are too scary. I'm afraid he is proficient in illusions. Mito Kaduin said angrily. Danzo, didn't you ask Kikuto, the S-level rebel ninja, to intercept him? Why did you fail? Powerful illusion. Danzo's expression changed slightly and he said, it seems that Sarutobi's intelligence network is still so powerful. He even knows who I'm looking for. I did find the traitorous ninja Kikuto of Taki Ninja Village and the Fuma clan to intercept and kill him. but judging from the expression on that kid's face, I'm afraid he secretly changed his route and escaped. Humph, I knew he was just a coward who was greedy for life and afraid of death. How could he be the opponent of S-level rebel ninja Kakuto? Mito snorted coldly. This kid is too unruly and unruly. I'm worried that he can't be used by Konoha. Danzo, you should contact Kakuzu as soon as possible and try to solve it. Xiaochun didn't say a word when she went to bed, but her expression already showed what she meant. Looking at Koharu and Mito Kato who were still standing in Sarutobi Hiruzen's camp, a smile appeared on Danzo's face. Don't worry. This time Sarutobi made such a decision, which has already endangered the foundation of Konoha. I will contact Kakuzu as soon as possible and try to deal with that kid. However, regarding the position of the next Hokage, I wonder if you will also. It's time to think about it. For Danzo, this is his best chance to capture Hokage. If there are two high-level executives, Koharu and Mito Manabu, if there is evidence that Hiruzen Sarutobi's decision failed, then he will have enough chances to win and compete with Minato Namikaze for the position of the next generation of Hokage in front of the daimyo. Mito Kadoyan and Koharu, who had gone to bed, couldn't help but look stagnant. They had already expected it, but he didn't expect that Danzo would make no secret of Hokage's position. Danzo-sama, the mountain wind has returned. Aburame Togen suddenly spoke. Danzo glanced at the hesitant Mito Kaden and Koharu, and then said, you don't have to make a decision too quickly. I will ask Shanfeng and Kakuzu to contact him and let him deal with Chinyu as soon as possible. You go back and think about it again. This is a critical moment in the war. The four major countries are attacking us, the Fire Country, at the same time. The daimyo is already furious. All this is because of Sarutobi's so-called steady thinking. What about recuperation? If he had listened to me earlier, he used his persuasion and used iron-fisted measures to frighten the four major countries. Our Konoha ninja village is unique in the world, no one dares to offend us. Mito Kato and Koharu, who had transferred to the dormitory, fell into silence. Shanfeng also arrived in a hurry, his head covered with hot sweat, and his face looked anxious. If he hadn't been panting heavily, he might have lost his composure and wanted to speak first. Feng, please speak slowly, they are also in our camp now. Danzo said with a faint smile, you should contact Kakuzu now. The target has returned to Konoha. We will try to create opportunities for him to take action. This time only success is allowed, no failure is allowed. Lost, failed, Danzo-sama, Kakuzu and the Fuma clan may have failed. Shanfeng didn't care too much. Danzo's smile suddenly stiffened, and his cheeks twitched as he said, Feng, what are you talking about? What happened? In Danzo's eyes, no matter how powerful Uchiha Chinyu was, he could not compare with an S-level rebellious Nin who had been famous for a long time and had massacred high-ranking officials. Dead. All the elites of the Feng Mo clan were killed. There are traces of large-scale battles in the inn. Shanfeng said with a livid expression. Among them, judging from the damaged traces of some ninjutsu, the power has reached the S level. What? The expressions of Danzo, Mito Kaden and Koharu who had transferred to the dormitory all changed. Although Chinyu was in a group of three, they did not believe that two newcomers, Moonlight Heiei and Woyuki Shien, could perform such powerful ninjutsu. As for, if this so-called S-level ninjutsu comes from Kakuzu's hands, then there is absolutely no way Chinyu can come back alive. After much scrutiny, it was proved that this S-level ninjutsu was probably in the hands of Chinyu. His ability to come back alive means that the S-level rebel ninja Kakuto they had high hopes for may have fallen. When they thought of this, Mito Kadoyan and Koharu, who was sleeping in the dormitory, turned pale. They were tit for tat with Chinyu just now. If he accidentally fell into an illusion and the third Hokage failed to rescue him in time, Chinyu suddenly took action. What awaits them is probably certain death. Mito, Koharu, don't forget what you promised me. Danzo was anxious and quickly returned to this topic. Koharu, the weather is very good today, and we haven't had a cup of coffee for a long time. Mito Kabuto suddenly said. After turning to bed, Xiaochun nodded and said, that's fine, it feels like we haven't gotten together for a long time. Looking at the two people who turned around and left after discarding this nonsense, Danzo's expression was extremely livid. Bastard, bastard. Danzo's face was filled with anger. This was supposed to be the closest he could get to being the Hokage. However, now even Jiao was killed by Chinyu, which was beyond his expectation. Danzo-sama, what should we do now? Shanfeng couldn't hold back his anger. Now even the S-level traitor Ninja Horn can't kill Uchiha Chinyu. Do we have to watch him in Konoha with blank eyes? Arrogant. Wind, don't be impulsive, Danzo-sama will have a solution. Aburame Toon hurriedly dissuaded her. However, even though he said this in his mouth, he couldn't figure out the truth for a moment in his heart. Even a being like Jiaodu can't deal with Chinyu, who else dares to take action? Don't worry, I've thought of a good candidate. Chapter 47. Your confidence is a bit lacking. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The residence of the Uchiha clan is located in the northwest corner of Konoha Ninja Village. It is close to the edge of the village and there are mountains, giving people a feeling that it is easy to defend but difficult to attack. However, it was easier for Konoha to guard the Uchiha clan's gate. This way, we can always be on guard against the defection of the Uchiha clan. After Chinyu left the Hokage building, he walked towards the Uchiha clan's residence. After 2 lifetimes, Chinyu has become cautious. However, there is still a kind of attachment from the soul to this place. This may be the only thing left to Chinyu from the previous soul. Chinyu looked up and saw the simple gate not far away with the emblem of the Uchiha clan engraved on it. Whoosh! The sound of breaking through the air suddenly sounded. Chinyu raised his brows, threw out 3 shurikens with his backhand, turned into a black light, and flew straight to his side. Dang, dang, dang. The sound of 3 metal collisions suddenly sounded. The shuriken was directly deflected. Fire release, fireball technique. A slightly childish voice suddenly sounded. Chinyu rolled his eyes helplessly, looking at the rolling fireball that was 4 to 5 meters in diameter. His hands flew quickly, forming a series of magic seals. Water release, water dragon bullet technique. The water dragon burst into flames and directly collided with the fireball. Boom. There was a thunderous explosion, and water mist rose into the sky. It's enough, Itachi. If you want to fight, wait until next time. Like a ghost, Chinyu passed through the wind and waves of the explosion, appeared behind Itachi, and held his shoulders. Itachi was surprised. His hands were still forming seals quickly, but he didn't expect Chinyu to be so fast. Surprisingly, even his was only slightly captured. You opened the Magatama Sharingan when you were only 6 years old. Itachi, you are really amazing. Chinyu patted Itachi on the shoulder. Even Uchiha Chinyu in his previous life loved this cousin very much. Moreover, Uchiha Itachi also took care of his relatively cowardly and introverted cousin. Brother, you usually hide it really well. Itachi Uchiha turned around, his face a little unhappy. Chinyu touched the tip of his nose helplessly and said, I just don't want to cause trouble, but if I can't escape this time, there is no other way. Aren't you in a ninja school? You're not using your shadow clone to skip class, are you? Uchiha Itachi's expression froze. He was obviously stabbed in a painful spot. Brother, please don't tell my dad that he knows. Uchiha Itachi said urgently. For Uchiha Itachi, who just entered the ninjutsu academy, at that time, he was still an innocent and romantic young man. However, after graduating from the ninjutsu academy, his personality gradually became silent. The more things he was exposed to at the same time, the more things he shouldered. In the end, Uchiha Shirsue's death caused Uchiha Itachi to completely enter a dead end in his thoughts. Don't worry, it's already good that your dad won't bother me. Chinyu patted Uchiha Itachi's shoulder. Looking at the woods not far away, he raised his eyebrows and directly used the teleportation technique. Brother. Uchiha Itachi just opened his mouth, but before he could finish his words, he saw Uchiha Chinyu disappear out of thin air. What a fast thunder escape technique, even faster than Shirsue's. Uchiha Itachi's expression froze, and he quickly followed up. As soon as I set foot in the woods, I heard a cry for help. Chinyu, I'm sorry for causing you trouble. Yuyu Shien held a chakra knife in her hand. Her pretty face was dirty and mixed with a hint of tiredness. I just wanted to bring you something to eat. I didn't expect him to say that I trespassed on the Uchiha clan's important territory. Having said this, Mao Yuxian lowered her head in grievance. Don't take it to heart. Qin Yu shook his head and looked at the three people who were blocking Mao Yuxian. His face darkened slightly. If he remembered correctly, the person leading the team was one of the vice-captains, Uchiha Ishii, who was known as a little genius in the past, and two followers. However, later, due to the emergence of Uchiha Shisui, he would be overwhelmed. Qin Yu, is this your friend? Have you forgotten that people who are not from the Uchiha clan cannot set foot within 500 meters of the garrison station? Uchiha smiled teasingly. This time, he deliberately looked for trouble just to make Qin Yu succumb to his subordinates. Uchiha Itachi, I remember that there is no such rule in the guard force. My father would never set such a rule. Uchiha Itachi spoke first. Hurry up and release this person, otherwise you will violate the clan rules. Because the Uchiha clan has longed for the position of Hokage for all generations, it's a pity that every time we vote based on the number of people, we will fall behind significantly. After all, the Uchiha clan has a large number of people and is considered a large clan in the ninja world, but compared with the entire Konoha ninja village, there is no comparison at all. Therefore, Uchiha Fugaku made a lot of preparations for this position of Hokage. It's a pity that a genius named Namafeng Minato also appeared at the same time. In the case of Uchiha Fugaku hiding the Mangekyo Sharingan, there is no comparison between the two. Humph, now that clan chief Fugaku is not here, I will follow the rules. Uchiha Stone said in a deep voice. Actually, we are all members of the same clan. As long as you listen to me carefully in the future, forget about her breaking into our security team this time. Otherwise, don't blame us for executing him now. Uchiha Itachi's expression changed slightly, and he looked at Qin Yu with a little hesitation. Itachi, don't leave in this muddy water, just stand aside and watch. Qin Yu patted Uchiha Itachi on the shoulder, looked at Uchiha Itachi and said, Is there no room for negotiation? Uchiha sure was startled at first, then sneered and said, I forgot to tell you, I have just been appointed as an elite jounin. Do you think there is room for negotiation on this matter? Elite jounin? Qin Yu said with a warm smile, no wonder you dare to change the rules without authorization. It turns out that you were promoted to an elite jounin. There don't seem to be many elite jounin in Konoha. Having said this, the smile on Qin Yu's face deepened, and the next moment his words became colder. Unfortunately, your confidence is a bit lacking. As soon as he finished speaking, the electric arc on Qin Yu's body crackled, boom. When the ground beneath his feet suddenly collapsed, his whole body was like a flash of lightning, passing by in the blink of an eye. The distance of tens of meters is just a blink of an eye. When Uchiha Sure and others reacted, Qin Yu had already appeared in front of them, heavy flow. Qin Yu suddenly clenched the 5 fingers of his right hand, without any fancy, and directly hit Uchiha Stone's abdomen hard. Chapter 48 Encounter with the Sannin. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Boom. Like a thunderous explosion, all defenses seemed pale and powerless under the splash of lightning. The powerful impact immediately caused the Uchiha Stone to fly backwards like a cannonball. With a dull collision sound, the big tree directly cut off the tree. The violent scene, as well as Qin Yu's bathing in the lightning, caused the expressions of the remaining 2 young followers to change dramatically. Without any time to think, he quickly took out the kunai with his backhand and stabbed Qin Yu directly in the chest. However, facing this scene, Qin Yu seemed completely unaware. Dang! The moment 2 dark kunai were pierced in front of the chest, they were directly bounced away by the thunder. What kind of monster is this? The 2 followers turned pale, and as soon as they took a step back, their huge fists quickly enlarged in their pupils. Boom! The 2 figures flew out like cannonballs. It hit 2 big trees hard, with blood splattering. He fell directly to the ground and couldn't get up. This is too strong. Uchiha Itachi's expression froze in disbelief. He learned about the changes in his cousin from Uchiha Fugaku. However, according to Uchiha Itachi's understanding, this kind of change is extremely powerful and is at the level of a jounin, or an elite jounin. When he saw Uchiha Stone and the other 2 henchmen appearing just now, he thought about taking action to contain them. He never expected that Chin-yu would kill Uchiha Stone, who was an elite jonin. "You're not injured, are you?" Chin-yu rubbed the head of Mao Yuxian, who was still in a daze. "If you are injured, I can help you treat it." While at the base, Uchiha Chin-yu did not miss the opportunity to let Shizun teach medical ninjutsu. Now his palm immortal technique and the technique of extracting minor trouble have been maxed out with one click. "I'm fine. It's just that the lunch box I brought for you was broken," Yu Yuxian said in despair. Let's go eat Ichiraku ramen." Chin-yu shook his head helplessly. Is this okay?" Mao Yuxian couldn't help but be startled, but her cheeks turned red. In her eyes, this was no different than a so-called date. "And the kid over there, if you don't mind." Chin-yu looked at Uchiha Itachi, who was confused. Itachi is now only a little over 6 years old and graduated from ninja school at the age of 7, so I only opened a single Magatama, and my strength is at most a little stronger than the Chunin. "Is this your brother Uchiha Itachi?" Yuzuki Shien obviously heard about this little genius and said quickly. "Of course I don't mind, Itachi is really cute." Yuzuki Shien pinched Uchiha Itachi's cheek. If future generations knew that Itachi God was treated like this, I don't know what their expressions would be. I don't have to go." Uchiha Itachi realized in his daze. "Don't you want to know how deep your brother is hidden?" Mao Yueshien said with a playful smile, "We may be able to squeeze out his secrets if we join forces. Besides, don't you want to know how he was able to repel the Cloud Ninja and Mist Ninja with his own strength?" After hearing these words, Uchiha Itachi hesitated for a moment, bit his lip and agreed. "Let's go." Chin-yu rolled his eyes helplessly, turned around and led the way. Along the way, the little beauty Mao Yueshien was there, attracting the attention of many people, especially seeing Yuzuki Shien walking with the Uchiha clan. His face was more or less disgusted. Chin-yu didn't take it to heart, but he didn't expect that Konoha was already so hostile to the Uchiha clan. "Welcome." A girl of 12 or 13 years old came out. "Calamus, let's invite the guests to sit down first. I'll beat the ramen and serve it." The sound of beating hands came from the inner kitchen. "I want a barbecued pork ramen." Chin-yu sat down casually. This is the most mysterious Ichiraku ramen shop in Naruto, which is jokingly called by Naruto fans, "Konoha will never fail even if it fails." It was also imagined that Uncle Ichiraku's true identity was the most mysterious Otsutsuki Tate who was hiding in the Konoha ninja village. "I want barbecued pork too." Mao Yuxian echoed eagerly. In her eyes, only eating the same thing as Chin-yu can it be called a date. "I want it too." Uchiha Itachi said helplessly. However, the two soon entered the exchange meeting. When Wozuki Shien mentioned Uchiha Chin-yu, he used his Thunder Kirin to kill hundreds of Kyumo ninjas instantly. Uchiha Itachi looked at Chin-yu with a hint of shock and awe. "Shoda, give me some barbecued pork ramen." A slightly tired voice came from outside the door. Chin-yu raised his eyebrows and saw a man with silver hair sitting down next to him, carrying a huge scroll. "Jiraiya-sama, I didn't expect you to come back at this juncture." Hans walked out of the kitchen with a hint of joy on his face. Tate is an ordinary businessman in Konoha, and he only knows roughly the situation of the war. However, who would not be worried after learning that 3 major battlefields were opened at the same time? As a being who became famous during the Second Ninja War, Jiraiya is a reassurance for Konoha. "Tita, you're still the same." Jiraiya tore open his chopsticks, looked at the snacks that Tita signaled Iris to bring up, shook his head and said, "I'm coming back this time, just to report the information to the 3rd generation, and I will leave soon. The war will soon be decided." His expression couldn't help but change. He quickly made a gesture to silence Jiraiya and said, "Jiraiya-sama, there are juniors here. You can't just talk about this information. By the way, don't drink this time. Last time, Jiraiya-sama revealed a lot of information. If Hokage-sama hadn't arrived in time, I would have become a sinner." He took the sake off Jiraiya's table with his hand. "Well, it's really not a good time to drink when you come back this time." Surprisingly, Jiraiya didn't argue with Sho this time, but looked at Chin-yu. "Shoda is not a stupid person. He immediately saw the clues and returned to the kitchen with Calamus. The ramen will be ready in 10 minutes. Got it. Jiraiya knew this was a reminder from his hand. Looking at the young man in front of him who seemed to have recognized him early in the morning, Jiraiya sighed quietly. I didn't expect that Minato asked me to come back because of you, a brat. I heard that you defeated the Kumo ninja and the Mist ninja alone. Your strength is already close to the Kage level. Looking at the entire Konoha, there are very few people who can defeat you. Yuzuki Shien and Uchiha Itachi fell silent, seeing one of the dignified Sannin give such an evaluation to Uchiha Chinyu. I was filled with shock. Chapter 49, Obtaining Psychic Techniques. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Jiraiya-sama, you are serious. Chinyu smiled casually. I originally planned to be a salty fish, just like you, and write pornographic books. This life is so comfortable. If I hadn't been captured and made a young man, I wouldn't have wanted to cause such things. Speaking of this, Chinyu sighed helplessly. Unfortunately, I am soft-hearted and kind-hearted, so I can't help but take action. Looking at Chinyu, who looked nonchalant, Jiraiya was startled for a moment. These words were not much different from what Namake's Minato had mentioned. Unfortunately, this was not the result Jiraiya needed. Chinyu, you should know very well that sometimes, once you are exposed, you cannot go back to the past. Many times, you still need to make a choice. Jiraiya said in a deep voice. This time, I came back just to know what you think Konoha will do in this third ninja war. The decisive battle at Kanakan Bridge is about to begin. In this case, the biggest variable is Uchiha Chinyu. With the strength he showed, he could defeat 1 against 1,000. If someone breaks out in Konoha's rear area, it will be a huge disaster for Konoha. Don't worry, I just want to go to the battlefield. Chinyu smiled calmly and said, in the battle at Kanowa Bridge, Konoha will definitely win. Jiraiya obviously didn't expect that Chinyu would agree so readily. However, this just solved his and the Leaf Village's concerns. Instead of putting Uchiha Chinyu, this variable was placed in the Konoha Ninja Village. It would be better to let Chinyu and Namake's Minato go to the battlefield together. This will at least stabilize the rear. However, I have a condition. Chinyu suddenly said. Jiraiya couldn't help being startled and said, whatever conditions you have, as long as it doesn't endanger Konoha's safety, I can agree to it. Don't worry, don't always regard me as a threat. I said that I would rather be a salted fish than show up in public. Unfortunately, people are afraid of being famous and pigs are afraid of being strong. There is nothing I can do about it. Chinyu laughed dryly. Originally, Chinyu was a little disappointed when he didn't see the psychic scroll of Nyamu Mountain on Namake's Minato. I never expected that Jiraiya would come to my door. This kind of fat sheep will not be slaughtered until it is slaughtered. Are you planning to do psychic magic? Jiraiya raised a brow and said, Minato has mentioned to me that you want to sign a psychic contract with the toad in Mayuki. There is no problem with this, but I want to remind you that you must not do anything wrong with Mount Nyamu, otherwise I will take back your contract. As the toad sage of Mayaboku, Jiraiya has many special rights. Among them, entering and exiting Nyamu Mountain and merging with 2 immortals are 2 of them. Don't worry, I'm a good person. Finish your ramen first, and then we'll sign the contract. Chinyu looked at Shoda, who came out with a smile. The aroma of ramen noodles has filled the air. Seeing that there was no conflict between Jiraiya and Uchiha Chinyu, Tate couldn't help but feel relieved. The ramen has arrived, Jiraiya-sama, and this is sake. Why did you let me drink again? Aren't you worried that I would be drunk and talk nonsense again? Huh, Master Jiraiya, aren't there 3 brats beside you? They just want to send you back. During this meal of ramen, Uchiha Itachi and Yuzuki Yugan did not speak, and they ate very quickly. Seeing the eagerness on their faces, Chinyu knew that they clearly wanted to see the signing of the psychic contract. Among Hokage, there are very few people who can sign a psychic contract. Moreover, even if it can be signed, the contract psychic beasts signed by many people are not very powerful, compared with the Shirgu Forest, Ruji Cave, and Nyamu Mountain, which are known as the strongest. There is a huge difference. As for these 3 major contract places, It is also because of the rise of the three ninja that their fame shocked the entire ninja world. Now you can actually sign a contract with Myamu Mountain, which is proof of a strong man. We've finished eating, thank you for your hospitality. Yuzuki Yuyen and Uchiha Itachi said in unison, feeling the fiery gazes of the two men. Yu's appetite was no longer large. Moreover, Yu felt an inexplicable urgency in his heart when he thought that after signing a psychic contract, he could try to obtain the immortal mode afterwards. You three, stop staring at me all the time. You've lost the joy of drinking. Jiraiya was helpless, patted his wallet and said, I'll pay the bill this time. It's rare to come back to Konoha. For once, waste money on you brats. It would be great if it were used on those older girls. Thinking of these young ladies bathing in hot springs, a hint of drunkenness appeared on Jiraiya's face. Let's go. Don't say that you are a Sannin when you go out. You look like a pig brother. It's embarrassing. Yu rolled his eyes and took the lead to leave with Uchiha Itachi and Yuzuki Shiin. Boy, what are you talking about? You are still young and don't know what the adult world is. Why don't I lend you the intimacy paradise? This will allow you to open up a second worldview, so you don't have to be a salty fish all the time. Life has color. After Jiraiya paid the bill, he hurriedly chased after him. After the four people left, a figure flashed out of the darkness and quickly walked towards the route. Under the leadership of Itachi Uchiha, Yu finally arrived at a slightly secluded basin outside the village. Looking at the deserted surroundings, in the open space in the middle, there are many scarecrows specially used for practicing shuriken, and traces of attacks scattered on the ground. It seems that Uchiha Itachi's identity as the king of skipping classes is not nonsense. I didn't expect that the Uchiha clan would have three geniuses this time. They would be able to master the art of shuriken to such an extent when they were not even 7 years old. Jiraiya has been a jackpot for half his life, but now that he has mastered senjutsu, he can definitely be called the strongest among the three ninjas. This may be the counterattack of hardworking geniuses. Boy, why don't I accept you as my disciple and you wander with me? Jiraiya said coldly. Uchiha Itachi couldn't help but be startled, then shook his head and said, No need, I want my brother to guide me. Let this monster. Jiraiya glanced at Uchiha Chinyu and said, If you follow this kind of monster, you will easily be traumatized. If you follow me, I can give you another kind of enlightenment. You have to know that this world is very big, and some things are very refreshing. It feels like entering paradise. As long as you try it, you will never come back. He looked at Jiraiya, who ran off the train as soon as he opened his mouth. Chinyu rolled his eyes helplessly and said, Jiraiya, if you want to cause trouble, go back and cause trouble to Minato. Now the Kanawa Bridge is in danger, let's finish the serious business first. You kid, you are just a lump of wood. No wonder you even ignored the pretty girl next to you. Jiraiya curled his lips. However, he still took off the contract scroll from his body neatly. Boy, this is the contract scroll of Mount Myaboku. Only after signing the contract on the scroll can you summon the toads of Mount Myaboku. Jiraiya spread out the scroll. On it are the people who have signed contracts with Mount Myaboku in the past, including the name of Hamura, the son of Kagaya Otsutsuki. Boy, if you have other psychic beasts, then terminate the contract first. The toads in Myamu Mountain are very bad-tempered. If they know that you have 2 feet, you will suffer a lot. Chapter 50, Full Level of Psychic Skills. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Jiraiya, don't worry, I have a bad temper. I hope Toad won't provoke me. Chinyu said with a smile. Are you really loud? Jiraiya rolled his eyes and said, Wait a moment, don't cry, come to me for help. Bite your index finger first, then leave your name on it, and then I will cast a spell. Once the contract is made, you cannot betray Myo Mushin casually, otherwise you will become a stone. At the end, Jiraiya did not forget to remind him. Looking at the scroll laid out flat, Chinyu bit his finger and quickly wrote his name on it as the blood flowed out. The moment Chinyu withdrew his hand, Jiraiya quickly formed a seal with his hands, and finally lit up 5 colors of light, pressing it directly on the scroll. white steam steamed, and the seal in Jiraiya's hand instantly merged with Qin Yu's signature, turning into a mysterious sealing spell. When the light dissipated, Qin Yu felt an inexplicable connection with another space. Okay, the contract has been successful. You can try it, but I advise you to be cautious and don't embarrass yourself. Jiraiya put away the scroll and put it on his back again. By the way, I haven't learned the sealing techniques of psychic art yet. Please teach me. Qin Yu thought of an important question. In this body of his, he had been a useless person for more than 10 years, and he couldn't even recognize ninjutsu, let alone such advanced psychic skills. You still don't understand the seals of psychic art? Jiraiya was a little surprised. After all, he only returned to Konoha village to find out what happened after he learned about Namake's Minato's message and knew that Qin Yu was a peerless genius who had been dormant for more than 10 years in Konoha village. Now Qin Yu told him that not knowing the art of channeling was indeed beyond his knowledge. Seeing Qin Yu shaking his head again, Jiraiya sighed. Okay, I'll show you, but if you use it once, there is a 90% chance that it will fail, so don't take it to heart. Look, don't blink. Mt Miyaboku Sage Jiraiya. Jiraiya came on stage while rapping, put his right hand to his mouth and bit it, but his hands flew quickly like wheels. When the last seal fell, Jiraiya slapped his right hand towards the ground. Psychic art. The cobweb-like seal spread instantly, surrounded by white mist. A figure the size of Michelle appeared in front of everyone. This is a toad wearing armor on both hands. It is somewhat similar to the toad summoned by Jiraiya when he fought against Kisame and Uchiha Itachi in the original work. Is this a psychic beast? Mao Yuxian's eyes couldn't help but light up, and she said, I heard that as long as a psychic beast is summoned on the battlefield after signing a contract, it means that the combat power will be doubled. Moreover, the psychic beast is a partner who will never betray. Regarding these words, Qin Yu also made some complaints in his heart. If one she knew this, she would definitely grin. Eat people, eat their masters. One she never jokes. Brother, are you sure? Uchiha Itachi couldn't help but ask. Qin Yu patted Itachi on the head and said with a smile, do you also want to see my joke? I'll try my best, maybe it will work. While talking, Qin Yu communicated with the system in his body. Ding dong, I found out that the host has learned the art of channeling. Can I reach the full level with one click? Maximum level immediately. Qin Yu issued the order. Ding dang, congratulations to the host, the psychic skill has been leveled up. A stream of information about psychic techniques poured into his mind, giving Qin Yu a feeling of sudden enlightenment. Qin Yu, if you are not confident yet, you can go back and get familiar with it first. There is no need to rush. Jiraiya patted Qin Yu on the shoulder and said with a smile, you don't have to be discouraged. No one is as talented as me. The first summons was successful. Looking at Jiraiya, who was familiar with Jiraiya, Qin Yu rolled his eyes and said, it must be the first time I randomly channeled spirits and successfully reverse summoned myself to Miamu Mountain. You and I are different. Jiraiya couldn't help but be stunned. This was his secret. In addition to the third Hokage knowing a thing or two, he also boasted about it to Tsunade. No. He even showed off in front of Orochimaru. It seems to be written in the intimacy paradise. The more Jiraiya thought about it, he realized that it didn't seem to be a secret at all, so he simply ignored it. Boy, you really have a good tone. I hope you can still laugh when you see the tadpole without legs after a while. Mao Yuxian on the side also waved her pink fist towards Qin Yu, obviously to cheer him up. As for Uchiha Itachi, he still remained silent with a cool look on his face, but his eyes towards Qin Yu also showed a hint of urgency. Qin Yu took a deep breath. The blood on the index finger of his right hand had not yet dried. With a touch of his palm, his hand started flying as fast as wheels. Jiraiya's expression changed after witnessing this scene. Originally, he thought that Qin Yu would be very unfamiliar even if he really learned how to form seals for the first time. However, the swiftness of the seal movements in front of them completely subverted their cognition. Psychic art. When the last seal was completed, Qin Yu suddenly slapped the ground with his backhand, feeling that 80% of the chakra was extracted from his body like a frenzy. His expression couldn't help but change. Boom. A powerful sound suddenly sounded. and under the white mist that towered into the sky, 3 huge hill-like figures condensed out of thin air. The air wave caused by the summons rolled back, making Yuzuki Shien and Uchiha Itachi feel like they couldn't open their eyes. However, compared to them, Jiraiya almost had his eyes popped open. Jiraiya was filled with disbelief when he saw Gamabunta, Gamatakeru, and Gamahiro, who were once channeled and known as the 3 great powers of Mt Mayaboku. Jiraiya, what happened? You wouldn't have gone to participate in the 3rd Ninja War, met some difficult guy, and channeled the 3 of us at once. Gamabunta held a cigarette in his mouth. Zhang Zhan puffed out a puff of smoke and said, "This is a big price to pay. We need to find at least several thousand kilograms of bugs, otherwise don't even think about sending us away." Gao Jian and Gao Guang couldn't help but look around. However, in their perception, there was no danger at all. There were only 2 stunned people and a confused Jiraiya. "Jiraiya, you should also speak. There is no danger at all. You can summon us at will, but you can't send us away at will." Tamahiro couldn't help but speak.